Good evening. What a lovely evening it is as well. Good morning, as always the case when we see sunshine coming through Evan's window, and he hasn't combed his hair, but the game's the game. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to expose. He's told his girlfriend that he's taking it easy, so he's got to look rough for the camera. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever the case is, as usual. Welcome to Sunday night, Redfellas. Redfellas in the building. Loads to chat about. Hope everyone's well. There's over 100 of you in here already. Do the customary, the honorary thing of hitting a like before we get going. We get chatting to the boys. And I've got to start with my boy from US, man. First and foremost, Evan, how you doing, man? Hope everything is well. You're on mute, Keith.
Pull the Keith there. But listen, I was doing well until I took a few shots below the belt. I got absolutely slammed there in the intro.
Not absolutely, just a few jabs. Like fix up, comb your hair. Yeah. You're in a worldwide show here, right? You got people from Malaysia, Singapore, USA, Canada, Australia, India.
I have product in my hair right now, which is supposed to give it this tousled look.
Looks good, mate.
It's intentional. It's intentional, Grizz, but you wouldn't know anything about that. So listen, I'm doing much better. Hey, I can jab as well. I'm doing fine though. How are you?
100%. Good stuff. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. It's been an amazing week. So much to talk about. Obviously, me and you spoke about the major things, but obviously it's always good to get other perspectives. Steve, we haven't had a chance to speak to you. How are you, man? How's everything? How's your week been?
All good. Nothing spectacular to report. Sort of sausage factory time, mate. Different day, same thing, But looks like things are gaining a bit of momentum football-wise with a few rumours and some contracts and some stuff to talk about. So here we are, Sunday night, 9:00. Redfellas, let's talk about it all.
Absolutely. And of course, Conroy, you okay, my friend? I know last time you had issues with your laptop. I think the last time you was on, we done the draft, and every time you picked a player, you had to go offline again.
Yeah.
And there was rumors circulating that you're cheating.
Yeah, I can confirm that's absolutely true. No, I'm joking. It was to be fair, I was quite lucky actually because it didn't land on me, or it would have been a bit awkward. But yeah, I've had some issues going in the background. I think it looks like it should be plain sailing tonight, touch wood. But yeah, I'm doing good. To be honest, guys, I'm not as obsessed during the summer as others. I actually take it as a break from the intensity that is Liverpool and the season. So I've been keeping an eye on it, and obviously we've got to welcome the famous celebrity we've got with us today, Evan and Steve. He's up there with Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein, which is what was it called yesterday? What was it? Griziona? Was what it was? It was the two.
I don't know. They made up something. Yeah, load of bullshit.
The Godfather. Yeah. So yeah, I'm starstruck to be in the presence of this today. So it's a great honor.
Up. Yeah. But anyway, guys, so much to talk about, so much to start off with. I guess we say small things, but I think very crucial things. I love small things. Loads of small things add up to great things. It's all about the collective. And Evan, I guess I'll start with you. Harvey Elliott, a little gem, gets Sadio Mane's number 19. He looked chuffed to bits. Are you one of these that thinks significance of shirt numbers, or just glad he's moved up the ranks, so to speak, and he's good to go as well?
We've had so many great players in our recent history that were adding more meaning and magic to these shirt numbers, whereas before we maybe only had 3, maybe 4 that meant something in that romantic, nostalgic way. But like I said, the torch is instantly passed. Nunez picks up 27. Harvey, gets Sadio's old number, and yeah, long live the recent nostalgia of our recent success. And listen, shirt numbers matter. When I'm playing FIFA, I adjust the shirt numbers. It matters to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, and if it's it keeps Harvey Elliott happy and off of Instagram, then more power to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But more than anything, it is a sign of trusty in a player, in a young player that we've seen rise and then have a bit of a fall because of the nasty injury. And we're hoping this is the season where he continues the elevation that he showed us initially. We hope that he's fully recovered and he shows us the trust that Klopp's put in him and upwards and onwards, I guess, for Harvey.
Absolutely. Somehow I don't think he's going to stay off Instagram, Evan. He's got a bit of a history of getting himself in hot water with things like that, hasn't he? So hopefully he's grown up a little bit in the summer. But it is nice, and it is a show of trust and of faith and of commitment from both the club and from the player. And I think what's really telling is when these young players take on numbers that other people in the club have had, Mane, Gerrard, people like that, it resonates with them and actually means something to them. So this is where they get locked into the club and even further and what it is to play for Liverpool Football Club and the heritage and the players that have gone before. And, you know, if you're wearing that number on the back of your shirt, number 19, and it was Sadio's, and you kind of give yourself a little bit of something to reach out to try to achieve.
Well, apparently I've been told off. I've said, how about the disrespect to the great Kabak, who apparently had that number as well. So
Babel as well. Babel as well. Ryan Babel as well.
Babel as well.
There you go. Well, there's some names for you.
Yeah.
Downing have that one as well.
Yeah, Downing as well. I was going to say that. And, you know, it actually, I think, it means something to Harvey because he said that when he was a kid, he had a Mane jersey. I was like, what do you mean when you were a kid? And then I realized that he was probably 12 years old when Sadio signed for Liverpool. And then I felt old because I was 20 when Sadio signed for Liverpool.
Evan, don't
and
go
now
there.
I'm... Okay. We'll skip this part, but yeah.
me and Grizz can ruin you on that score, but we won't.
Evan, to be fair, Harvey Elliott was scoring overhead kicks at Molyneux when he was like 16. I think he was getting sold for 7 million when he was 16. So just put that in perspective. I think he's a little bit ahead of most people, when it comes to that.
But his 16 is different than my 16, for sure. Yeah,
I was playing FIFA, mate. Playing FIFA like most people. He's probably, having the time of his life.
Still playing it. It is good to see them getting these numbers and making reference to players, very recent ones, and then some a little bit more further field in terms of the time they spent at the football club. But he's got with the plan. He understands what it means. Hopefully, like you said, Grizz, we'll get to see a bit more of the upward trajectory. We're 12 months behind where we should be with Harvey Elliott because of the ankle injury and one or two little social misdemeanors, which got him in a little bit of bother with the coach. But at the end of the day, you're only young once. You do grow up. He will improve. He's very incisive in his passing. I wouldn't be surprised to see us start the season the way we started the season last time, with him on that right side of midfield. I know we've done a show about this and we had a real good breakdown and a look at it, but why would you try something and then park it completely? Klopp invests a lot of loyalty in these guys and he trusts them and he backs them, and I think he'll trust them back Harvey Elliott this season as well.
Apparently I'm a very brave man. I've gone up against Love Island. I've gone live at the same time as Love Island. Wow. Unbelievable. I mean, why didn't you guys tell me Love Island's on? But
that's ballsy, that, mate. Tell you that.
Yeah, well, this is it. But then MK says Love Island has some serious competition tonight because the Redfellas ain't bad people. I mean, ignore Evan tonight. Like when he does a bit of makeup, when he
See, I'm about to log out. I'm about to log out. Pick on somebody else. We have 2 other people in here. It's overkill.
Okay. I'll bear that in mind. Jamie sends in a through chat. Shout out to Jamie, of course, Jamie Keegan. Shout out to Jamie. He was on the call in. Me and Evan done an emergency impromptu show when the Salah information came out. So Jamie was very excited.
Yeah, Jamie's always
happy.
He's always
brilliant. Good. Class. He says Harvey lost rhythm being out for so long, and it's hard to break into a side in the running with those repetitions. Diaz came in, but was playing. He's got a point, Conroy, right?
Yeah, I get it. I think there is a bit of I don't know the best way to say it with Elliot. I say it all the time. I don't think there's a big enough sample size to warrant that would continue. And we played 3.5 games, 4 games if you include the Leeds game. So for me, that's not enough. I think we were getting a bit too, as we always do, ahead of ourselves with Elliot. I think he's a great talent and amazing potential. But I say this every week, the proof's in the pudding. Don't play them too much. You don't want to burn them out. There's a reason Phil Foden. I'm not saying Elliott's going to get to that level, but if anyone is who we've got, it's going to be him. And that was the correct way to operate. And I feel we'll do the same. And I think with Elliott, I do understand. I thought he started great, and he obviously offered the link up with Trent and Salah that allowed us to kind of, as bamboozle, that's the wrong word, but confuse opponents at times because we weren't doing our usual the previous season that we were playing down that side. So I think Klopp really enjoys him playing there because it offers something different. So I feel like that will happen. For me, he's not going to play every game, but he is a very great alternative to have there. And I think that's what you want. Like this idea for a team that burnt out an 18-year-old and Michael Owen, and look at what happened to him, and you can mention different injuries, what you want. You think we've learned our lessons, and I think our current coaching setup have, and that's why I feel like you're not going to see him every game. You're going to see him now and again. I think that's the right way to go.
Absolutely. We've got a good friend of the show, Ross Chandley from Redman TV. He says it's rather sweet to just teabag every one of his guests for an hour than watch a single second of Love Island. Rightly so as well.
They could have both on, Grizz. They could have both on. I watch Steve have your shows on. Just put it on your phone and listen at the same time.
Steve, do you want to explain teabag? It may be a Scouse thing. It may be a.
You don't want to know what it is, mate. You don't have words with Ross tomorrow, mate.
No, I was here in the States. Teabag is something you do to someone in a video game after you've killed them, and it's rather derogatory. Yeah. So we won't even.
I would say it's the same here as well.
It's not great. It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not fun. Naughty Ross, but Ross has been busy, and you know what? I want to call out Ross as well because me and Ross were really close. We used to talk a lot, but you know he doesn't reply to my messages anymore. He comes into my chat and now and again definitely doesn't come on any shows with me anymore. But it is what it is. I still love Ross. Of course, I'm joking. Shout out to Ross. You can catch him on Redman TV, of course, with the rest of the brilliant lads. Another friend of the channel. Nice to know you can be in here and not text me back. My
goes both ways, doesn't it?
I mean, it's absolutely done you there. You've literally just set yourself up there, Grizz, in 2 seconds.
No, he's talking about Ross.
All right, I thought he was talking about you.
Yeah, no, he's talking about you and me both, Grizz. Snide Chandley. Yeah. He's talking about Ross. Ross is getting it today. People, let's all calm down. Let's stop having digs at each other. We are where we are, why we are. So that's one youngster, gets a shirt, we're ready to go. And then boom, we already know he was a Liverpool player, but today we got the announcement on a Sunday, and I like the way we've done it sort of after the aftermath of the Mohamed Salah, which we're going to get into. Just give him his own kind of platform, his own space, I guess. And you know what? That smile on Fabio Carvalho's face was beautiful. Lovely to see. He was proper excited to be there. He gets the 28. Number 28. I know Conroy's good with numbers and shirts. Any significance to the 28 before I ask?
You know, I actually looked into this because I knew you were going to ask, and it was harder to find out than you think, right? So, this is a hard one. I think I've got it wrong because the only one I had a quick look before we came on, and I seen Christian Poulsen, but I think he might have been 24. I don't think I could find the 28 number. So if anyone in the chat knows, let us know because I couldn't find earlier. Steve, you're not in the chat. Sorry, mate. Disqualified. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to embarrass me like this. All right, that's not fair.
I'm not embarrassed. I'll help you on the way. It was Steven Gerrard's first number.
Yes, of course. I meant recent history though, Steve. But yes.
What a shout! Was it Steven Gerrard's first number?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
That is some shirt number to have in your first jersey.
Conway, I wasn't embarrassing you, mate.
No, you're right.
He actually looked for that, Steve, and he couldn't find it.
Yeah. No, because no. See the thing is, this is funny because see, actually, the 19 for some reason in my head earlier, I know it's wrong, but I was thinking, see the very first when he comes on against Sheffield Wednesday. In my head, I was thinking that was 19, but I know now it's not. But I don't know why. What was Gerrard's number before 8?
17.
Was 17. That's why I was thinking 19. Fair shout. Sorry, Steve. Good point, mate.
Well, can I get some 28 love for Danny Ings? Because Danny Ings wore 28.
Ben Davies as well. That was it.
I love Ben Davies. Shout out the chat. I love Danny Ings. Danny Ings is very close to my heart. Bruno Cheroux, Stephen Warnock, and then a bunch of dudes I've never heard of. So there you go.
Fair enough. Guys, is it just me or Evan sounding really like a froggy throat type?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bit.
Maybe he's been out last night.
No, I think it's something to do with his mic. Maybe it's not his natural voice. Maybe something, but he'll have a look at that. But well, let's see if it's worked. Okay, I was gonna come to you, but Fabio Carvalho, Conroy, while he tries to see if his mic's okay now. Fabio Carvalho, for me, Conroy, for me, and it's just personal. People can attack me and say, "How can you not say Darwin Núñez?" For me, the most exciting summer signing for me personally. I think this guy, I think the world of this guy. I think he's going all the way to the top. So we're happy to see him come through the door.
Yeah, and do you know what? Today I actually took a bit of a look into it because Grizz has been going on about Carvalho for about 5 years now. So I think a better look if I'm coming on tonight. But in all seriousness, though, the guy does look like a player. And what I would compare to, it's a very easy comparison because people go on about Coutinho, and I get that. I'm not talking about Coutinho in the last, when he came to Liverpool, or just the very start. I think, towards the end. If you remember when we got him from Inter, and just that first season, when we weren't very good, but it was the red nets, Rodgers' first season, he looked like a player who was still finding his feet, but he had those kind of moments of quality. And I think with Carvalho, I see bits of that as well, which I think is a really good alternative for us for at times with the way low blocks play. And also, additional thing with Carvalho that I've noticed is I do not think Coutinho at that time was exceptionally great at getting in the box. And if you look at when he played for Fulham, that was one of his key attributes as well. I'm not saying we'll use him exactly like that, but we could always do with more runners in the box, especially for a team who at times we can be guilty of overcrossing it, and we've only got maybe one or two in there. So I think that is something that we'll look at with him. I agree, Grizz. I feel like to me, a lot of people are not really thinking, do you know what, he'll be in and out. I think he's going in there with the mentality that I'm going to try and get a space and you're not going to take me away. I think with the 5 substitutes, it changes the game for everybody. It's because you've got an opportunity to come on with 20 minutes to go to start a game, and then they can bring another one of the front 5, or if you want to use them in midfield, to come on. So to me, that I think you'll see quite a bit of him as well. So I think it's a very good signing. I think it's another shrewd signing that falls into I would say the Elliott, Cade Gordon, but I think he's higher than that. I think they're already looking to use him a bit quicker than that. So no, I get it, Grizz. I think he's going to be some player, and to see him play in a Fulham team that was quite expansive, I think he'll suit our style of football very, very easily.
Evan, I know you done a video on him, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Sorry, before I mistakenly put you in it again. But go check out Evan's video. Fantastic piece of work as usual from Soccer God himself. Ev, I think in years to come we're going to talk about this 5 million transfer snip. I think this guy's destined, but that's just my opinion, as I said. But I think a good indication this preseason will be the amount of minutes he gets, and more importantly or significantly, the position he plays, because no one's really sure. So if we ask us, maybe you might say, okay, he might play off the left. Steve might say, no, I think he's going to play as an attacking 8. Conroy say, no, but I've seen him play as a false 9. And that's just the way it is, because he's so multifunctional. He can play in a variety of roles. The way Jurgen Klopp spoke about him in the brief paragraph that he spoke about him, you could see Jurgen Klopp. You could see him saying all that with a beaming smile over his face. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jurgen Klopp's excited. I'm excited. Are you excited? And is it significant how we see him integrate into the team over in preseason?
Yeah, definitely more than the minutes. Position is king in these things. I remember us watching Harvey Elliott in last summer's preseason. He was playing in midfield, and we were like, oh, well, we thought he was Salah's backup.
Exactly.
And, oh, well, maybe it's just preseason and he's just playing there. No, he would go on to play in huge title-deciding games like the home game against Chelsea in midfield. So, yeah, definitely more important than the minutes is how we see Carvalho used. Paul Joyce is of the opinion that he'll start off in the forward line, and then eventually long-term the plan is midfield. Conroy brings up a great comparison. The easy comparison is Coutinho, and there are some comparisons there. But if you just look at Carvalho's highlight reel, he's much more of a in-the-box type player than Coutinho was in his early years and even at his peak for Liverpool. I always thought Coutinho did his best work outside the box, and I'm not just alluding to his tendency to score 30-yard screamers. But a lot of you might know me as as a stat guy, a guy who likes numbers and sort of the nerdier side of the game, and that's definitely true. But I will say that just based on the eye test and what I've seen of Fabio, just from watching his compilations and tuning into Fulham towards the end of the last season when it became clear that he was going to be a Liverpool player, I think this is the highest ceiling on a teenager that we've brought to the club in my lifetime. I think he's incredible. I think he's absolutely incredible. The better comparison for me is Phil Foden. If you check out his heat map, it's very similar to Fabio's, but Phil Foden's left-footed, so he's cutting in from the other side. And Phil Foden's much more of a box player than Coutinho was as well. Carvalho seems to have a bit of a 10-second striker mold as well, but he seems to spend a lot of time out wide and then cut inside. I am so incredibly excited for this guy, and the fact that we picked him up for pennies for a club of our size, and the video that Grizz is alluding to, I tweeted it out under the guise of we could be talking about Fabio Carvalho and Calvin Ramsey for a combined fee of 11 million as daylight robbery in the years to come. And I definitely think we will, because Carvalho, I just think the sky's the limit for him. I heard him speak for the first time today. He seems to have a great head on his shoulders, and I couldn't be more excited that he's ours.
Are you more excited than me? I mean, you're going to have a competition for the next few weeks. Who's more excited?
We are going to set some unrealistic expectations for this kid.
But does not feel like, additionally, because of the Núñez signing, because of stuff that's happening, that I don't think there's lots of pressure on him as well, which I think can sometimes, everyone's different. Everyone's got a different mentality. That might be rubbish what I'm saying, but I do think going into that, if there's a few signings and he's kind of not forgotten about, but going about his business, you wouldn't be surprised if the first game away to Fulham that he might have an impact on that game that no one really seen coming. Grizz and Evan would see it coming, but I think he could maybe go about his business more, which I think allows him to just play his football. Like, what's the word? Express himself in the team. So I feel like that might have a factor on it as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing in disguise, actually, not just because we were able to get him so cheap because of his contract situation, but that the entire transfer saga kind of flew under the radar, and I tweeted out, I said, this is not the story of the summer. This is not the continent's transfer story of the summer, and it's not Liverpool's transfer story of the summer. Núñez has eclipsed all of that. But that's a great point, Conroy, the fact that he's coming in, from the Championship, not the sexiest division to be transferred in from, and he's coming for a lower fee, and he's not being talked about with the same enthusiasm as some of these other 19-year-olds that are being transferred around this summer. Absolutely, it's a great point. He does not. The only weight on his shoulders is that he has the privilege of playing for this great club. He doesn't have that price tag, ball and chain type scenario.
Mick Moran, of course, of this parish as well, says Coutinho was raw and his shooting wasn't great at all when he first arrived. Carvalho was ahead of him already in that respect, and his ceiling is unbelievable. Can't wait to see how he develops. We totally agree. Steve is right, because we've spoken many times about the type of player that we're looking for, or the type of improvement that we need to make to the team's tactics and the way we play. And one of the key aspects we all agreed on was goals from midfield, arriving in the box on the end of the pullbacks from Robertson or Trent or whoever. This guy has a knack. He scored 11 goals for Fulham. And I've said it, because I started watching him from January onwards when I first heard we want him, pretty much nailed on. We've got him. So obviously then you take a keen interest. Obviously my luck, he didn't play much after that. but it is what it is. I think he's very, very intelligent already for his age and his experience at that. He can only get better. And if he played the football he played with the likes of Mitrovic and Harry Wilson, and no disrespect to them, replace that with a Bobby Firmino and Mohamed Salah, we have some frightening prospect.
We do. And just going back to the guy's point before, he's not been brought in as a direct replacement for Barney. We brought Diaz in ahead of the summer to cover that because Spurs were interested in him. Then we go and sign Núñez to cover for Mane when he goes, and we've got big headlines about 2 players we've signed in the last 6 months who are almost the real deal. They're ready to go and fill that gap and score goals for Liverpool and propel us to trophies. Be nice because he will be off the radar a little bit, as both the guys alluded to. So there's no pressure on him, and just sit back and enjoy it, because you're quite right. He's definitely got a footballing brain. If you watch the way he moves with the ball, when he chooses to shift it, and his understanding of where his teammates are is really, really important. When you scout somebody, that's one of the things you look for. Not whether they're bigger and faster and stronger than anybody else. It's their awareness of what's going on around them. And you can't teach that to some degree. You can give people little facets of it, but he's clearly got a footballing brain. And not like you two, but I'm not going to take you two on in an excitement contest. I'll leave that to you two guys to do. I'm really looking forward to seeing this young man play and the options he gives us, whether it's the Coutinho role, whether it's to play on the left, given that Jota and Diaz will be ahead of him in terms of the queue to play there, or in other games when we can. You know, imagine going away in a League Cup game and playing him as a false 9. You've nothing to lose trying those things with him. So his ceiling is ridiculously high. We've no idea how good he could be. And guys, just sit back and enjoy watching him, his career unfold in front of us. I think he's going to be a special talent, I really do.
Yeah, no, I've got no doubts as well. But as you said, it's a time to enjoy the youngsters that are coming through. Now we've suddenly, the average age of our squad, I don't even know. Maybe someone in the chat can work it out. Usually we've got geniuses in the chat that can tell us the average age of our squad now suddenly, with the likes of Ramsey, Curtis, Elliott, Carvalho. We were told off, weren't we, about my pronunciation of Carvalho? Is it Carvalho? Anyone want to help me out? No? Okay, silence is golden.
I usually just go for it. I'm sure it probably is Carvalho, but I end up always when you're watching a game, you just go with the usual rhetoric. So I'll end up saying Carvalho or
Carvalho, yeah.
But you know what? I've heard commentators say that and then get told off or get the name wrong. So for instance, Evan done Chouameni. That I got told off about 3-4 times. So I'll say it's Carvalho, Grizz. I'll take the hit.
But can I bring up Evan again? I'm not picking on you. But apparently that was wrong.
According to who?
A French native.
Well, he was
my roommate is a French major, and I asked him how to say it. That he told me.
Maybe it's a dialect thing. Maybe it's an accent dialect, depending on what part of France you're from, or whatever.
Okay. But I'll bring him on stream right now. John, get in here.
Yeah.
I'll get him on stream right now.
Does it really matter? He's not coming anyway.
He's
not coming. Whatever.
Exactly.
Thanks for reminding me, Conroy.
Sorry, mate. Jude's coming. No, I'm joking.
Channel member says Carvalho, so that's what it is, you know. And
because there's a Wolves player, there's another Fulham player who was at Wolves previously. Is that Carvalho as well? You know what, the winger? Yeah, and it's the same spelling. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, probably.
Or am I getting mixed up? No, maybe.
No. You are right, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Pixelate Pigeon, another channel member. He says, to those who have watched him a lot, what's Fabio's work rate and tracking back like? It's brilliant. That's one of the things we love about him. He's a pressing machine. He's a hard worker. And he'll only get stronger. He'll only get quicker, and he'll only get faster in terms of his intelligent pressing, because, you know, we're possibly the best pressing team, you know, out there. So he'll learn the patterns of our press. I'm just so excited. But as Steve says,
he's got Andy Robertson and Virgil van Dijk on that side. So I think if he isn't, he'll know about it very quickly.
Yeah.
This is it right here. This is it. I'm deading this conversation.
Go on. What does this mean?
So
explain it.
So the LHO in Portuguese creates the Leo sound.
So it's Carvalho.
Carvalho. Yes. Leo.
I was right. Conrad's wrong. I was right.
Yeah.
Oh, so what is it? Carvalho?
Carvalho.
Is that not what I said? I don't
know. You said Carvalho. You said I say.
No, I said I thought Carvalho was wrong.
You said it in Scottish, which is an entirely different thing.
Well, the reason I said the Wolves player, because he's also called Carvalho, so that's why I said it was the same. But I don't know. Whatever.
Exactly. Listen, the point being, Steve's told us, the experienced member of the group, he's told us to just calm down, relax, let the kid play. Let's enjoy him. Yeah, exactly. Just relax. Me and Evan are putting way too much pressure on him. But let's enjoy him. And I think look, he's one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. That's like even just, the players coming in and putting on the kits and getting out there and all the footage of the players rolling into the car park. I'm already excited. I know some of the major players are joining up a week later, but still there's going to be significant members of the squad that are coming in tomorrow. One person that won't be part of the significant squad tomorrow, one person who's still enjoying an extended break is the King of Egypt himself, who Conrad this week decided to suddenly, apparently, shock the whole Liverpool fan base, the media. Everyone had given up on this guy. I think even a few of you guys had said, it's looking difficult now. It's looking tricky. Let's just enjoy him for the season that we've got him because he's committed to the season. And then whatever will be, will be. A lot of people had given up. Sadio Mane gone, Bobby going into his last contract, and Salah as well. The famous three shattered, all gone. But lo and behold, bang, suddenly we see pics of Julian Ward in his Gucci, chilling out in Mykonos, getting Salah to sign while Salah was wearing a pair of shades, flexing his six-pack. Amazing, amazing scenes this week, Conrad. How did you feel?
No, it's brilliant. It felt brilliant, to be honest. It was, I saw it, came in from work, and I was like, oh, why is Grizz and was it Grizz or Steve? Maybe Evan and you, I think it was you and Evan. So, oh, why is there a urgent show on Friday night? Looked on Twitter and seen the chaos that installed. And obviously I'd caught back and seen his agent doing the laughing emoji a couple of hours earlier. All the rival fans out in their forces. That went well, didn't it? That went very well. But so, yeah, in general, it's a brilliant for the club. I'll be honest, guys, I'm kind of thinking the same way that you're getting Mane away. I don't know about Firmino. That's probably going to stay. We'll see what happens. If you get rid of Salah, this summer as well, or even in the future, he's I wouldn't always say he's a talisman every season, but he's always 20 goals a season. Last season he was a talisman. Previous years he's been a talisman. If you're getting rid of Mane and Salah, that's 40 goals out your team or more. And it puts a lot of pressure on a new front three or, in general, all these new players to kind of take that mantle. So I think it's a great appointment. It's maybe a statement as well of football at the moment. You guys have been telling me all year, the Spanish giants and that Barcelona, Real Madrid. Football's changing. I've been saying that for the past year. You can say what you want. Some players will have things when they're growing up. Brazilians specifically want to play with the Spanish giants. But I think personally, most players want to play with the teams who've got the best chance of winning competitions. And I think if you're realistic, that's Man City or Liverpool. And I'd put Real Madrid into that as well. However, I think a lot of their success is down to the greatness of Benzema this season. So for us, I think it's a massive statement in terms of football for us to say to keep the best player, or if not one of the best players in the world, to re-sign for 3 years. I think it's I know we're going to talk about the evolution, Grizz, of the team. I think it's a statement of that as well, that we're not just so stuck on our principles. We will look to adapt where we need to. And I think, to be honest, I'm not going to suddenly change my tune completely, but I think some fans were at the stage where it's like, if he goes, we still trust the team. But I think it makes it a lot easier that we've got him in. Because I think it's like, if someone does ask for a ridiculous amount, you have to stick. There has to be some sort of narrative that you stick behind, because you don't want to fall by the wayside like certain teams, United being the example, where they completely break the structure. But I feel like getting us over the line, it kind of broke a lot of rivals as well as made us elevated to the next level. So I think it's outstanding, and I'll let Steve have his say on it. But for me, I think it's we've spoke about Nunez, spoke about Carvalho, spoke about Elliott, but to just back someone who's so effective, even though if he's not in that form every game, to have someone who can just have that effect on the team and get those important goals, I think it's huge for the title race next season. So I think it's massive for the team.
Steve, perfectly segued into you, because I want you to address the situation or the question that everyone had on their lips, and we questioned it too. We had discussions on it private and on here and so many shows in terms of this wage structure and the way FSG operate, and it's not sustainable in the modern game or comparable to other teams. We're going to get left behind if we don't pay the top players, keep the top players. I think we've shattered a lot of myths and hearsays, I think, with this deal as well. I mean, I'm not saying that they care about it, but it's good to know that we are, and they are clever, and they know that there is a perception of maybe their methods are outdated. So the structure that they've got has got us to this, and now they're struggling. So Mane's going to leave, Salah's going to leave, and then Virgil's probably going to leave. They've shattered that myth. Mane wanted to go. Look, basically, the three lads that we had up front, we always kind of knew one's going to get sold, one's going to get renewed, and one's going to probably see his time out and ride away into the sunset. We know it seemingly is the order that we wanted. Bobby Firmino, we can see doing kick-ups into the sunset and retiring at the end of his contract. Possibly, maybe, whatever. We know that. Sadio Mane, as brilliant as he was in the last 4 months, his form has dipped in the previous 12 months or so. We knew we can still fetch a nice fee for him. We have done. This was the one, Steve, wasn't it, that the whole world's eyes were on in every sense. Rival fans saying, oh my God, are you guys going to really lose all your front three for free and your main talisman? I think we've shattered a lot of myths and broken a lot of hearts, but we've absolutely revitalized our very own.
100%. And there's an ideology going around social media and sporting world that because Mane left, we gave Mane's money to Salah, and that was the only way it could work. That's a fallacy. That's absolute nonsense. You need to put that one to bed straight away. Mane, as we know, tried twice before to seek new challenges, and we persuaded him to stay. So it was inevitable. It was going to happen. The thing with Salah is this is a guy that's in the top 5 players in the world, and pre-Christmas was arguably the top player in the world. Now all that stuff around his contract and his agent putting emojis and things on social media, because players do see what goes on and it does impact on them. Now all of that is done with and gone. He can concentrate on playing his football, much as he did in the first half of last season when he scored like 10 games in a row or something crazy like that. So we'll get that Mo Salah back, hopefully, a hungry Mo Salah. This squad is motivated by the fact that they missed out on the league and they missed out on the Champions League with such small margins. This guy is talismanic in terms of addressing that, and he has been right throughout his career at Liverpool Football Club. So he's led to believe to be a one-season wonder. Well, he's got 3 golden boots and 5 seasons behind him, and his numbers match anybody who's ever played in the Premier League. So great move for the football club. You look at the MO, how FSG operate now, Liverpool operate. There are some similarities, and I remember reading an article about FSG use the Boston Red Sox trading mechanism as a thing to bring into football. So they will allow seasoned, experienced, and good players to leave the club from time to time. We've seen that with Mane. It was never going to happen with Salah. There was a contract on the table. Who wants to see him leave and sign for Chelsea if rumours are to be believed? This guy is or was our top performer and will be our top performer again. And as Conroy says, you can't afford to lose 40 goals out of your team and the assists this guy brings. So the disruption's minimal. It's not a major thing. It's quite minimal. So that's a positive for me. So we look to next season. We see Mo come back. He's rejuvenated. All the nonsense has gone out of his head. He's got over the AFCON and the World Cup heartache. He's got over the disappointments that will spur him on the club level. And we'll get that Mo Salah back, and he will be everything we expect him to be. Who knows, maybe a little bit more.
Evan, it was so crucial, isn't it? The timing. We spoke about it when we done the impromptu show. Great timing of the announcement too. We don't start the season wondering, is this his last dance? Jurgen Klopp getting questioned in every press conference. Even Salah, every time he's man of the match or goal scorer. What about your contract? And also players around his teammates wouldn't want that pressure and sort of stress, I guess. But one thing that also I want your opinion on, and one thing else I want your opinion on is I think it was crucial for the new players and sort of the younger element in the players. So sort of for the likes of Harvey Elliott, the aforementioned Carvalho, these guys would have come to Liverpool or wanted to play with Mohamed Salah in Harvey Elliott's case for many years to come. They would have been disheartened if suddenly they're coming to Darwin Núñez as well, of course. How can I forget the record signing? They would have wanted to come to Liverpool, heard all these stories, watched all these games where Mohamed Salah and Kall are ripping up teams left, right, and centre, and said, yeah, we want a piece of that. We want to be on that team. We want to be on that side, and that player. It was crucial that we got this over the line. If we were going to let Mane go, and we've let Mane go, that we do not let the main, I'd say, talisman go too. So I think it was crucial on both fronts, right?
Yeah, and equally crucial that we got the Klopp extension announced within the same sort of period of time in the grand scheme of things. It allows, like you said, the new kids and any future new signing to know how to think of Liverpool in the coming years. Like, okay, well, they'll have their best player until this time, and they'll have their legendary coach until this time, and that's how I can see myself. That's where I'll see myself if I choose Liverpool. You know, all the uncertainty over Klopp's future and Salah's future being resolved in this short time frame is, I think, exactly the boost we needed going into preseason for the current crop of players and the new kids, and the boost we need in the second phase of the Klopp era. It's absolutely vital. And what's equally important is you show the new signings that, hey, you came here because you want us to take you to Salah's level, because you have potential and you chose us because you think we can nurture it. If I reach that level, they will break the wage structure for me. You know what I mean? If I reach that level where I'm a special case, Mohamed Salah is a special case in world football, I will be treated like a special case on top of all the other perks and benefits that we can do for you as Liverpool Football Club and Jurgen Klopp can do for you as manager.
Yeah, I think that's crucial, isn't it, Conroy? The point Seven made. It's absolutely crucial. I agree with everything he said and the way it was handled. Some people may say we took too long, but this is a record-breaking club deal. Every part and every action we do, in my opinion, is calculated. We've managed to save up to 10 million in wages if we had done this deal last year. We knew we were in control. Every press conference Jurgen Klopp was asked, he said, "I'm okay with where we are with it." Do you remember, guys? He was pressed a couple of times last year around December, then January again. He said, "I'm okay where it is." And then, we are where we are. Everything's fine. It's just there's a lot to go through. There's a lot to get through. And we're also in the middle of a hunt for a quadruple, guys. We don't need this distraction. We don't need any complication. We're focused. And obviously, on the day of the announcement, obviously, we see a couple of articles that suggest that the major groundwork was all done around December time, January time. So it was just a matter of logistics, timing. I think we nailed it personally.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, Grizz, you said this quite a few shows, you said, show me one example where a big re-signing of a top player takes 2 days. Let's be honest, it's always the same. You can complain about getting it done quicker. They all go the same way. I've never seen one that's done, even if it comes out quite quickly, you find out the background work's been taking months. So absolutely, Grizz, I feel like it's the fact that it's done, as Evan said before we start pre-season's massive as well. The Klopp factor's huge as well in there, Evan. I think from a point of view of other teams struggling now to maybe find out what they are or where they're going, for us to be kicking on again, I think we say this all the time. People keep talking about how they're going to catch us, and we'll put City in that as well. But they're acting like we're stopping. Now, people can say what they want, but this window to me highlights that we're willing to adapt, to keep pushing. And it's very easy to say, oh, we're going to do this to catch you. But if we're still moving, then it's very, very difficult to. Just, Grizz, I want to ask you a quick question as well, but I just wanted to add one more point as well. I think we have to look at this from Salah's point of view as well. You can say move, right? But let's not kid ourselves. The Liverpool system, the way we play, suits Mohamed Salah the best than any other team in the world. Let's not kid ourselves as well. Let's not act like he's carrying us in the back. At times, it suits him as much as it suits us. The way we talk about how sometimes he can, not cheat, but be on that last line. Any other team he goes to, one, they're not going to have the players with that continuity around them. And secondly, to compete for everything the way we're set up, probably the only team is a Man City. And I'd even argue the way Man City is slightly different as well, the way they play. So for going to Chelsea, as you said, Steve, that probably wouldn't work as well either. I think for both parties it works because it gives us the best opportunity to have a talisman, and it also gives him the best opportunity to win as many trophies. So there's both parties in there as well. It's like it helps both. But on that, Grizz, I just wanted to ask, you obviously had the in the know of what happened with Julian Ward and McKenna. So I just wanted to get your take. Do you have any more details on that, and how did it kind of go about?
Well, you know, they always say never reveal too much, but look, basically the situation, as the article later explained to us, that the bulk of the work, the groundwork was done around January time, but we just didn't, you know, these kind of things take time. They're so complicated in this modern day and age. It's not just about, here's your wage and Bob's your uncle. There's bonuses, there's add-ons, there's huge image rights involved. So many complex situations, so many different parties involved. It's just not about the infamous or famous or Rami Abbas, Mohamed Salah and Julian Ward. There's like up to 20, 30 people at a time involved in this kind of thing. So it was one of those complex situations. Obviously, everyone slaughtered me when I suggested it was done back then, because I had got the information then that is pretty much agreed. And obviously later transpires when the Athletic done the article that it was pretty much agreed, but we just couldn't get over the line because of the hunt for 4 trophies, whatever. But the point being is, I just think it was beautiful the way it was done. People saying they disturbed his holiday. It was all pre-planned. It was all pre-planned. You guys know in the WhatsApp group, I gave you like a day-to-day diary of what's going on. And I knew the night before that reps were going out the following morning to Mykonos, not for a holiday, but for possibly one of the best signings this club's, or would you call it an extensions this club's ever done. I think it's a monumental moment in the club's history. I genuinely believe that, guys. Evan, it's not only just for the history, but I think in terms of Julian Ward as well, Evan, I want to go on to him. This is some start for the guy that was coming into massive boots, as we've discussed, but not only massive boots in terms of the work Edwards has done, but pressure. We have a Jurgen Klopp contract scenario to deal with. We have a Mohamed Salah contract to deal with, and we also have the revival of the Liverpool 2.0. So far, in my opinion, Evan, he's done a stunning job for his first season, right? Because we need to start putting some respect on this guy's name.
He's had to deal with a different type of transition than Michael Edwards had to deal with, because, you know, Edwards was here pre-Klopp, and Edwards had the privilege of, you know, transitioning into the Klopp era and laying out those foundational signings, you know, Mane, Salah, Wijnaldum, eventually Van Dijk, Fabinho, and Alisson, and amongst others. But Ward's job is the context is much different. Now he has a lot of these pieces are still here and will be here for the foreseeable future. How does he deal with the pressure of trying to maximize the second half of the Klopp era? It's one thing when Edwards took us to Mount Olympus when the expectations were low, when no one really believed it was possible, working on the type of budget that we were working with and going up against who we were going up against. Now we're at the summit of football, and Julian Ward has to maintain it. And I think most people who have worked in these higher echelons of sports will tell you that maintaining the dynasty is probably harder than getting there, you know, because you suffer by your own standards that you set for yourself. So Julian Ward not only walks into big shoes, the big reputation that Edwards had, he walks into a different job. And I'm sure Edwards has given him plenty of advice, and I'm sure he will probably maintain a relationship that allows him to reach out for advice in the future. But the nature of the job is entirely different. But I think he's absolutely killed it so far, I think, in the best possible way. You know, not just the quality of the players that he signed, but the pace of the negotiations, having it still all done on our own terms. I think he's going to have an incredibly successful career at Liverpool. What a start.
Just a couple of super chats before I come to Steve. Dinesh, an avid supporter of the channel. Appreciate it. He says, happy Mo Salah signed a new contract to Liverpool. Do Liverpool have an advantage? Mo Salah and other players not going to the World Cup will get 2 months rest. I think that's a huge, Evan, stick with you for that one. That's another aspect that we must speak about, right?
Absolutely. I'm very anti-World Cup in December, as you can imagine. So the fact that
is the World Cup equivalent of a League Cup to you?
Not even that. As you know, my League Cup stocks have never been higher. But yeah, it's great that our best player isn't going to the World Cup. You know, a player that clearly suffered having to go to a mid-season tournament last summer and dealing with the heartbreak of that, the mental stress of that, and the physical stress. And we saw the physical stress manifest in the second half of his season. So the fact that he gets to rest his legs, I'm sure he's disappointed because, of course, he would have wanted to go. But for purely selfish reasons, as a fan that isn't the biggest fan of international football, I'm over the moon that Salah and other key players do not have to.
Diaz as well, isn't it?
Do that.
Diaz as well is another one as well.
Diaz as well, and there's keep in mind, guys, we played an ungodly amount of football last season. We played every single game across all 4 competitions. We had injuries and all those things to deal with. So I will take any Christmas break, informal Christmas break that these players get, because as you know, other teams or other leagues like the Bundesliga have long had a winter break. And I'm sure plenty in here would advocate that the Premier League should have the same. So I will take our own informal version of a winter break for some players, especially our key players.
The media will still find a way to blame Klopp for it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Klopp's whined and got his winter break.
Exactly. Steve, I wanted to come to you with this. Jamie sends in a super chat. Says, nature of sequential order of contract extensions makes sense with Mo last. Now no budget for future contract extensions and future signing wages. I think that was very, very, I think it's very calculated the way we got so many contracts out of the way last season. Remind me, guys, we got Virgil, Alisson, Fabinho, Trent, Hendo. Have I forgotten anyone? Like major spine of our team. We got everyone. We got everyone out of the way, and we left the most significant, the most important one. Do you see the thinking behind that, Steve? Does it resonate with you, or do you think it was just the way it happened?
I think it's the way it happened. I think it has to happen first and foremost. The players that we locked down. We know Henderson got a deal quite late on into his Liverpool career, but why would you not extend that guy's contract given what he gives to the football club? It's a bit more than what he does on the pitch, isn't it? So there's an argument to say the same of Milner with the 1-year extension too. It's what those guys give to the young guys around them. In terms of the more seasoned players, your Van Dijks, your Alissons, your Trents, all these guys had all their contracts tied down. You have to do that because once we know Mo would have seen contract offers already for other clubs, even this far out, knowing that technically he really shouldn't be speaking to people till January when he can, but that's not how it works anymore. The second there's a doubt as to whether he extends, people get interested and they start having informal conversations. And we waited an extra time for Virgil van Dijk because we did much the same, if you recall. So it has to be done. You have to look at what are the foundations of your club, what are the foundations of your teams, which is your biggest assets. Liverpool Football Club's not worth £4 billion without the assets, and the assets being the players. So you've got to tie those guys in. And as I said on previous shows, successful teams stay together as a nucleus, as a cell of a team for many, many years. Look at, dare I say it, look at Real Madrid's core of their squad. It's been there for a long, long time. It's always been that way. You don't sustain success by Championship manager summers where you sell 6 and sign 7. It doesn't work like that. You've got to have the consistency. You've got to have the understanding of the game plan. So it makes perfect sense that we chalked these guys off one by one and renewed their contracts in order of what we felt was priority. We've got the best goalkeeper in the world. We've got the best centre half in the world. you'd be a fool not to try and extend their contracts, to be brutally honest with you. And I don't think it ends there. I think there'll be others. There's talk of, I've seen something that they're even potentially looking at Diogo Jota's deal with a view to looking at doing something with that going forward as well. So, it's standard business practice. The football club's in the strongest position financially on and off the pitch it's ever been in its entire history. So you don't undermine that by not tying down things that mean the most to you.
Yeah, and again, Evan, we've spoken about sort of, the wages and does it set a precedent for new players, incoming players, or the current players? How will Virgil, for example, appreciate it or look at it? But I think this goes back to when we discussed so many times, and people overlook it and say, "Oh, shut up about team morale and the bond and the unity that Klopp's built." And how many times does Klopp and Kall speak about the characters in our team in terms of their personality? And then James Milner comes out and says, "We don't sign knobs." This is all related, guys, isn't it? This is all part and parcel of the master plan, because we have to operate differently. And the humility amongst our squad players that understand hierarchy, not in just terms of experience and seniority, but in terms of class and importance. And the likes of, for example, the way Virgil celebrated Salah's contract is just indicative of how mentally the squad's in. So, for example, we won't get a Luis Diaz suddenly in a year's time wanting to renew at the rate of Salah. Do you get what I mean? So the way we've built up this squad of players, it's fucking beautiful to see how it doesn't affect it anyway. So many other clubs get split with wage demands and splits. Okay, you got to match him. De Gea, Sancho's got to do it. Bruno wants it. Pogba says, "I want that. I'm gone." It's not about that at Liverpool. Literally what James Milner says, we just don't fucking buy knobs.
Absolutely. You have to gatekeep a culture like ours. It is special. It is different. It is one of a kind. And you gatekeep that by being really, really careful about who you let inside. And that's part of why my faith in the recruitment is so strong. If we don't move for a player, then move for a player that Twitter thinks is phenomenal, I usually think there's a good reason for it. And oftentimes in the future, we're vindicated in that decision when that player's stocks fall off within a year or two. So absolutely, who you are as a character, who you are as a person, these are the most determining factors in whether you hit your ceiling or your potential or not as a player. If as long as your career isn't wrecked by injury, show me a young teenager or a young wonder kid who didn't reach their potential because they didn't have attitude issues. For me, it's always like an attitude thing. It's always your head's not in the game. Mamba mentality is what they call it over here in basketball world when they're talking about Kobe Bryant, in the grind and Mamba hustle mentality. So absolutely, I think our squad has that in abundance. You can always see that in the fact that Liverpool have 5 or 6 captains, players who you would consider are stereotypically captain material in the starting 11. So absolutely, I am not worried about players like Van Dijk coming forward and asking for 400K, or now Thiago wants 400K. Like you said, people theorized about that domino effect in the past. I don't think it's a real thing, and I'm sure we shouldn't read too much into Twitter reactions, but yeah, Virgil's reaction says the best, and the club wouldn't have done it if this ripple effect was something that was actually something to be concerned about. FSG and Mike Gordon wouldn't be in this business in the first place. They wouldn't have even bothered offering anybody a contract if they feared these things. And lo and behold, these fears are unfounded, and I don't see it being a problem.
Totally unfounded. They're just spoken from a place of not knowing the finer details and the information, and that's where they emanate from. Steve, it takes us on to the last of the famous trio, and some rumors and stories again emanating about Bobby Firmino. What do we do with him? Just wanted your opinion on how you see that contract going out, because obviously I know I've said I see him doing kick-ups into the sunset happily at the end of his deal. But what's your state of play on him? What's your take on him? If we do get an offer in the region of, let's just say, 20 million from a Juventus or whatever, what are you doing with him? What's the situation? How are you feeling about the Bobby Firmino situation?
Not his best season last season, mostly through injury, not through form. So that kind of changes things. I think it's worth mentioning that, Bobby's and Mo's positions are very different. Mo Salah just signed a contract that is extensively an end of career contract at Liverpool Football Club, with no plan to do anything other than let that contract run for the 3 years, and then you probably walk away with all our thanks. It's different for Bobby. If we've got genuine interest out there in the form of, say, Juventus, and it's 15, 20 million, I kind of get the feeling Bobby will make that decision. They'll talk to Bobby and see what he wants to do. We're not short of options really at the minute, are we? It's not ideal. But we just got to a position where we almost won the quadruple. And you'd have to say, if you were honest with it and look at it, Bobby's contribution in all the years he's been at the football club, that was probably the least he contributed. Yet we went the furthest. So as much as I love him, and I'm a massive Bobby Firmino fan, we've already started to have a look at what life's like without him. And we've coped. We've done more than coped. We've absolutely had a banger. We've really went at it. So I'm not concerned about the future with regards to Bobby. If he stays, tremendous. We love him to bits. He'll do cameos and he'll do bits and pieces. But we've had, as I said before, we've had a little prelude to what life is like without him and how the team shapes up. And we've spoke about a possible change in shape, and that might impact on Bobby's role in the side. So same way with Mane, and I'm not advocating this, by the way, but I can see if he suggested he might like a different challenge, and 15, 20 million pounds put down on the table, then I think there's a conversation the club has internally about whether they accept that bid. He's been one of Klopp's best players. I know he wasn't a Klopp signing, but he was taken from that left midfield position when we didn't know what to do with him under the previous manager and turned him into a world-class false nine. But there is a time when all of these players' careers have come to an end and all of these guys look for a new challenge. And I think in that situation, maybe we give that choice to Bobby because we'll cope without him. We've proved we can.
Evan, do you share those sentiments? I pretty much agree with Steve. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I guess I think it would probably come down to Bobby. But I also think these conversations have probably already taken place. Pretty much like the Mane and the Salah. I think it was pretty much nailed on, as you guys know. I've been telling you for months, Salah's not going anywhere, guys. Salah's staying. Pretty much like I told you guys, Mane is open to moving. I think the conversations have taken place with Bobby, and I genuinely don't think it's uncomfortable. I think they're both in a position where they're good to let it run down, and he's good to assess the situation once he gets into his. I don't know. That's just my opinion. How do you see it? And again, just like Steve says, we've had glimpses, quite more than glimpses of life without Bobby. Unfortunately, because through injury, whatever. But we've had a few glimpses of life without Bobby. It'll be sad, but I don't know. I'm just trying to sit on the fence somewhere here. I don't want to give my opinion until you do.
Listen,
it's hard. I know. We love Bobby. I know.
I think, listen, Firmino is my favorite Liverpool player of all time.
That's why I came to you.
bar none, not just the Klopp era, my favorite Liverpool player of all time. But we have seen the best of Roberto Firmino in a Liverpool shirt. I think it's pretty fair to say. Have we outgrown the role that a false nine plays in our system? No. I think if we had a 25-year-old Roberto Firmino, there is no Darwin Nunez. There is we're sticking with that. Klopp would run it back again if he could turn down the biological clock on Firmino. But that being said, he's become a bit of an injury concern in the last 16 months or so. He's been injured more in the last 16 months than in the previous years of his Liverpool career combined. So he's not the durable, 90-minute machine that he used to be. I think what we're seeing now with the signing of Jota, with the signing of Nunez, with Mane moving central last season, there is no Firmino false nine replacement. He's what you call a statistical unicorn. He exists so far and away from everyone else, just in terms of the uniqueness of his profile, that there is nobody like him on the market. People point to players like Kai Havertz and João Felix. Cool, though they are incredibly unavailable to Liverpool right now. So there is no Firmino replacement. There is only evolution. And we see that in, you get something different with Diogo Jota. You get this like center forward winger hybrid who can play through the middle. Mane is the same thing, except he brings a physical element to the game that Firmino and Jota don't bring. Darwin Nunez is this complete mobile striker who's going to, occasionally maybe play in off the left, but he's predominantly through the middle. There is only evolution after Roberto Firmino. We cannot copy or recreate the impact and, like I said, the intangibles of his profile. It just won't happen. In terms of his future with Liverpool, I think he's going to leave on a free, partly due to Klopp and the coaching staff's sentimentality towards him. And I also think one of the contributors to him leaving for free could also be this new culture of players in general just leaving on free as signing bonuses and agent bonuses get bigger. I think players are realizing that they can get a bigger payday if they leave for free, because then the interested club can allocate some of what would have been a transfer fee towards a signing bonus instead. So I think we are starting to see that shift in the culture of the market. In terms of us letting him go this summer, I don't see it happening. I think it is worth more to us to keep a profile that unique around for next season than it is to take 15, 20 million for him now. Because like I said, that profile of who Firmino is so unique that it's just worth keeping for a year. For me, that's worth more than 15, 20 million. I don't get the impression our club's in a place where we are sweating over 15 to 20 million pounds, especially when we want to attack in a different way. Firmino gives us such an incredible element. And now that we have such great depth, and you could say Firmino's not first choice anymore, we'll be able to manage his minutes, which will hopefully make him more physically robust, and we'll be able to maximize how often he gets on the pitch in what could potentially be his final year.
Conroy, brief word on Bobby. I pretty much echo what Evan said there. I think he could be a. When you say wild card, it sounds so silly for one of the main stalwarts of the Klopp era and the attack. But you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, we didn't see the best of him, but we saw glimpses when he was fully fit that he isn't done. I think he's an absolute valuable forward thinker, worker to keep around. I think as Evan says, I think he's more valuable to keep than to get rid of for 15, possibly 20 million at the most.
No, I absolutely agree. I think actually I'd call him, he's still a very useful instrument to have in that team. And it's not even about experience for players. I'm not even going to start that. There is that. But for me, it's pretty simple. Inter Milan away, San Siro. He comes on, makes a massive difference. Arsenal at Emirates were absolutely, I was going to swear there, were very poor that day. We got 1-0 up somehow, but Diogo Jota couldn't cross the road in that game. He couldn't pass it. It was horrendous. The full team was quite poor in that game. He comes on, scores the second goal. I think he's on for about 40 minutes. What a difference he made in that game. There's still a lot of benefits to the team to have him. So for me, I think I agree with Evan. You can say there's similar style of players. Yes, you could say a Carvalho. Look at how people operate Foden. I get that. But for someone to play like Bobby Firmino, if you think about Bobby Firmino and the way he plays, to have someone that selfless but also that intelligent with it as well, there's a difference to squaring it when you're one-on-one, but to operate the way he operated, there's not many players like that. So I think, if you can get, like this season, maybe a bit more from that, especially the 5 subs, I see you keep him. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to give 15 million and take a chance on someone. You're going to at least get some performances out of Firmino. And who knows that the 5 subs, I keep going back to that, but there will be opportunities in games where you'll get utilised. And you know what? I don't think it's all over yet either. I feel like you'll see something. There's certain games that if a fully fit Bobby, Klopp would go to that because he just trusts him. And I don't think the story's finished yet for Bobby. I agree. And I know everyone will be buzzing if that's the case, but I don't think he'll go. I think he's the type of person, he's happy, and I think he might just see out the contract and just, to me, he's a person who I think he just enjoys the environment he's in. I know a lot of his friends are obviously at Liverpool now with Alisson and Fabinho as well. So for me, I think, yeah, you keep him. What do you do with that 15 million? What do you actually do with that 15 million? I don't think there's much you can, so I keep him.
Pretty much like Bobby. You know how Evan spoke about the Bobby role, and it's pretty unique. There was a Navi role that was pretty unique as well. Brilliantly segued into this super chat. And he says, credit to Lord Grizz. Shut up. You don't call no one Lord Grizz, but you credit to FSG and credit to Julian Ward and Klopp and credit to Mo. Got the Salah done deal. Big up, boys. Back soon. So just like how Bobby Firmino is one of a kind, our very own Avi is one of a kind. So he suggests he may be back, and he may be refreshed, very much like Bobby. But again, he could be like Bobby, where you could imagine him having drinks. What else does Avi? Having sushi and riding into the sunset. So it is what it is. One more super chat before I come to. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing like that?
A taste for the finer things in life, you know.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Every time I look at Avi's Instagram, like, I just honestly, the type where he's eating, I'm just like, that looks amazing. So yeah. Definitely.
Exactly. El Drago sent in a super chat and he says, in 1 year, and this is what we were talking about, weren't we? In 1 year, we renewed Virgil, Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Hendo, Fabinho, Salah, Kelleher, Elliott. Contracts, and there is talks about Gomez, Naby, Jota contracts, and people talk about lack of business. What a fucking super chat. I just feel like just looking at this for a little while and just like, what are you talking about when you're talking about our owners? Which angle, which aspect?
We have a moment. Just
shall we have a moment, Steve?
Yeah, let's just have a moment.
For just 5 seconds, guys.
Twitter won't like to hear this. Twitter won't like to hear this because it's...
hold on. There's a Jurgen Klopp amongst that as well.
Yeah, the biggest one.
Absolutely. The one that makes all of the other ones happen, by the way, as well.
Oh, sorry, Ev, but hold on. Yeah. Not only this, but we've brought in the Mane replacement before letting Mane go, Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
And we've replaced, in effect, Bobby before we let Bobby go in Darwin Núñez and broke our transfer record at the same time.
Got a replacement in for Trent. It's not a replacement, not a replacement, a backup for Trent as well. So.
Yep. But one thing that everybody wants to talk about, Steve, and I'm going to come to you, is because where was it? Oh, I'll have a look at it. I'll try to find it elsewhere. But one of the names that was spoken about in terms of one of the contracts that needs to be looked at and done or whatever, or decided upon, was the Naby Keita. We pretty much know that we can pretty much, I think it's safe to assume that Ox won't be offered a new deal, right, Steve? I think Naby Keita, according to my understanding, has been offered a contract, hasn't accepted it as of when I last heard, which was Thursday. It is now Sunday. He may have accepted. I don't know. I'm not privy to that. But if, again, I'm sorry to put you on a spot again like this, Steve, but if again the situation arises like the Bobby scenario where it's decision time and there's a certain Jude Bellingham lurking, there's 2 months still to go, roughly, guys, 2 months to go in the transfer market or something like that, 6 weeks, I don't know exactly, but there's a certain Jude Bellingham that we know is our prime number one target. And if there is a decision to be made and Naby's not accepting, or maybe he's accepting, I don't know. And then obviously there's the Yoke scenario as well. How are you dealing with this? Are you saying, Naby, come on, accept the terms that we've offered you? You still got to prove yourself. It's not going to be a Salah type because you're still unproven, possibly relatively, because sign up otherwise. And if he doesn't, do you accept the same type of fee, 15, 20 million, and then put it into the extra money that they want for Jude right now, as opposed to save that 20, 30 million and get him next season?
Yeah, they probably do. I think it's quite telling because I was just thinking it and you actually said it. The spectre of Jude Bellingham. Exactly. The spectre of Jude Bellingham looms over our current midfielders and it seems to grow every day. So why did he say no to a contract? Is he concerned about his playing time? Has he got an idea something's going to happen? I'm just speculating to make the Twitterverse go even more wild.
It's pure speculation.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're not saying Naby Keita has refused it. I just know he hasn't accepted it yet. But these things take time, of course.
And if again, he played almost 40 games last season, so his game time was good. For me, he's still got to earn a new contract. I find it interesting that he gets a contract off the back of what we've seen, because every one of us to a man has said we haven't seen enough of the Naby Keita we thought we were getting from the Bundesliga. Yes, the Premier League's a different beast, and the rigours of the game and the opposition are much more different. But every now and then, Manchester United game, he tantalises you with what he can offer, but then he comes back the following week and doesn't do it again. So for me, that's being realistic rather than cynical. I think he's got to prove that there's a contract there for him. We may have offered him some terms. They may be on a par with what he's got now. He may be looking for a pay rise. Who knows? It's speculation. At the end of the day, if these players don't want to sign contracts, this is what we're going to see more and more in football now as football evolves and we go forward, where players allow contracts to run out purely because they want the signing on fee from the next club. So we need to get used to this, because I think this is going to happen more and more and more with footballers. And if it starts with Ox and Naby Keita, then we'll be okay. If that happens, we'll be fine. We've lost, no disrespect to those guys, we've lost bigger and better and more pivotal players to our football club than them. And we've gone on and won trophies the following season. So if he chooses not to sign the contract and he chooses to run it down and move on, then that's fine. I don't think they'd sell him for £15 million. I think they'd rather run his contract out and let him go out on free at the end of the season, purely because you can only do that so many times before you stretch your numbers. We've got a fan base that's screaming blue murder because we haven't got a new midfielder. Imagine selling another one now for 15 million because there's a contract issue. So I think it's a dangerous game if you allow him to go for 15 million. What Conroy's point with Firmino, what can you do with £15 million? You bank it, and it goes in the accounts, and that's it. You can't regenerate a player for £15 million. You can't replace Naby Keita like for £15 million. It's just in these days, and it sounds sort of blasé to say it, it's a nominal fee for a footballer that doesn't allow you to do anything with it. So if he's not going to sign a contract, I see him going in the summer on a free.
Fair enough. Pixelate Pigeon, member of the channel, says, I'd be so happy if Gomez re-signed before the start of the season. I truly believe he will. Pixelate Pigeon, that's one to keep an eye on. And that would be amazing because I'm a huge Gomez. I love Gomez. I love him as a person. I mean, I don't know him per se, but I know people that know him, and he's an amazing person. And the way he comes across and the way he's dealt with his injuries and every setback, the way he's come back, I've got so much admiration and time for him. Guys, yours two opinions, whoever wants to go first, about the Jude Bellingham. As I understand, we have spoken to Jude, his family. His father is a massive Liverpool fan. His father would like him to play for Liverpool. But Jude, again, has brilliant people around him, and he's got such a mature head on him for a young lad. He knows Dortmund gave him his break, paid a lot of money for a teenager. How old was he when he went there? 17 or something? 18? Something like that? Yeah. 17. And it just shows you the personality and character of this guy, that Liverpool are sniffing, yet he's not wanting to kick up a fuss as such, that he's got so much humility and respect for Dortmund that he wants to see out the year like they've promised him, he's promised them. But there is an itching and there's a burning desire to play for Liverpool, as I understand, to play for Liverpool. How do you play it from a Liverpool point of view then, guys? One of you, it's a tricky one. I let me just put it out there. We are in talks with them. There is a fee that they would work with, but it's a huge fee. I don't know the fee. I've just been told that it's a huge fee. How would you guys approach it if we were Julian Ward and Kall? I don't know. Any of you guys can go first.
If I'll go first, if you don't mind, Evan. I think it's very, very similar to Luis Diaz. They probably go the Van Dijk route. that's their target, and then when available, they'll go for it probably next summer. If that gets interrupted, like Tottenham waiting for Diaz, they pulled the trigger early. We waited for Van Dijk, no one else went in for him, or to that extent, we got him in the January. So I feel like it's exactly the same. You've got your target, you wait if someone comes in early. I think the Diaz one is a prime example. They went in, they're not going to let their target go if it's available. So maybe what's 103 million potentially we add-ons Grizz are talking about. This is for an 18, sorry, what is it ages now, 20? 19 now, right? So you're getting your money's worth. You know, if you were buying a jacket and it lasted you 10 years and it costed 500 quid, you'd say that was a solid investment. So I feel like, yes, you look at that as a one-off payment as a lot, but for me, I think we would do it if someone else comes in. And people will be looking at Jude Bellingham. With Madrid getting Tchouaméni there, Bellingham probably the target that a lot are looking at. And I feel like you might have people scanning them now. And I think there's 2 months to go, guys. Like, because we've done business so early, there's so much more to happen. And I think I can see it happening this summer, but I think it'll be more if our hand, a bit like the Diaz one, our hand, we have to trigger it earlier because the other things that happen. Because we've seen us wait in the past, but I think I've just got a feeling someone will go for Bellingham before that, and then we might have to activate it. But I don't know what if Evan feels the same.
Pay it, whatever this mystery fee is. Pay it, because, and I'm not just saying that because I like shiny new toys, and I'm sure we all like shiny new toys. In my most recent video, I talked about the rarity of the Tchouaméni and the Bellingham profile. We had them at the top of a list. You know, the list of midfielders we consider good enough to be a marquee signing for Liverpool is pretty short. They were towards the top. Our pursuit of Tchouaméni proved that. Ultimately, we did not get him because we fell victim to the Mbappe drama. The reason you pay whatever absurd fee Dortmund are asking for this season is so we are not roped into any more of next summer's drama. If we, you know, we've all been given the sense, just from what we've been told about Jude Bellingham and his desire to come to England, he probably wants Liverpool more than Tchouaméni wanted Liverpool. And when other options were presented, Tchouaméni didn't want Liverpool. You know, we have more evidence to say that Jude does. That being said, if you add 3 or 4 more of Europe's elite into the pile next summer, when Dortmund are more open to dealing at a slightly reduced fee, money talks. You know, if PSG, Madrid, Chelsea, any of these clubs slap 250K more a week on top of their offer, you know, Jude and his family could be tempted. Again, I have nothing but evidence to show that, you know, these are great people, you know, who want the best for Jude, and they want the best system for him. But if we consider Jude and Tchouaméni to exist in this elite bracket, sign at all costs, do it now type bracket, then I don't think we can risk letting Jude go into a more open market next summer when there is more money to throw around by our rivals in the European elite circle. So absolutely, you go get Jude Bellingham now. In terms of a player who's physically robust enough to be a true box-to-box for us in a 4-3-3, him and Tchouaméni are that. The market is very dry on other players like that. I see people listing off like these number 10, you know, attacking midfield types, diminutive players. You know, Fabio Vieira was talked about. And that's not what we need. We need a true, robust box-to-box central midfielder. Tchouaméni was a luxury because he could play in the 6 and also the 8. You know, he could do that right-sided central midfield role for us. But just looking back at where things potentially went wrong for us in the league, in the first half, the games we dropped points, it was when teams would take the game to us in midfield, and more often than not to pick on any of our players, but it happened on the right side of central midfield because we did not have the engine or the legs or the physicality there in those positions, in my opinion, to deal with certain situations. Obviously, that's a bit of a hyper criticism because that midfield was good enough to take the season into the final minutes in every single competition. So I am nitpicking, definitely. But I think Bellingham suits us to a T, seems to have all of those mental characteristics that we talked about earlier in this stream. So if we consider him to be in this elite bracket of sign at all costs and do it now, and Liverpool seem to be of a similar frame of mind, then I think we risk too much by letting it go to next summer. And I would say do it now. So that was me trying to say do it now from the point of Julian Ward, and with logic and sense and taking all the emotional out of it. But now I'm gonna put on the fan hat and say, yeah, sign him now. I want a new player. I like new things.
I like the way all three of you had different takes on it, and that's the beauty of opinions and our chat and debates. People often, no, not that often. Sometimes people call us all sorts of names. But one of the accusations is we always agreeing with each other and we all have the same opinions. I very rarely find we all have the same opinions. We all have different opinions. I'm very quickly going to give my opinion and wrap it up. I think there's a strong chance that we wait for him. As dangerous as Evans brilliantly put it may be, as awkward and as difficult as Conroy has brilliantly suggested it could be, with all the competition, I think the key element or the key part, in my opinion, will be the conversations that have taken place with Jude in private with his family. The difference will be, as you said, and very rightly, Tchouaméni was totally the opposite scenario, and it worked for Madrid. Whereas he had these offers and he would have loved to play for Liverpool, but he always wanted Madrid, and he relayed that to us very early. I think I see the similar scenario for us when it comes to Jude. Very much like the Thiago, the Naby, the Virgil. All three players wanted Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. They had offers of higher wages. The clubs were ready to pay more. They were told very early on, they only want Liverpool, all those three players. I have a feeling the way we operate and how good we are in terms of these kind of deals, I have a feeling if we don't pull the trigger now, because the only way I see us pulling the trigger, in my opinion, is if Keita and Ox go, or one of them two go, and we fetch a bit of money for them. I don't know if that's possible. I still think Keita will probably agree, and I think Ox. I don't know about Ox yet. So I think that's the only way we pull the trigger right now in terms of forcing, because Dortmund don't want to sell. But obviously every player has a price. We know that, guys. We know that. Jadon Sancho had a price. And do you remember the season before he was let go? He had a price. Pay 120 million euro, Man United, and you can have him. Otherwise, shut your mouths. And Man United shut their mouths. They offered him 80, 70. But then they said, if you let Jadon Sancho stay with us, you can have him for 75. Was it in the end, guys? Something like that. People in the chat. How much did Sancho go for? I think about 70, which is significant saving. Well, not saving because people start jumping on that, but it's a difference of 30, 40 million, if not more. So, and obviously Sancho had an agreement again, like Man United. I'll come to you guys, bide your time. I think we may end up having to wait for Bellingham. But I think the intention, if given any sort of encouragement from the club, it's not the player, it's the club. We get an encouragement from the club, and then we are able to sell or get rid of, I don't want to use that word, but one of our midfielders, then we activate. And then we do what Conroy is saying is we activate, attack, and try to get him. It would be an amazing ending to the window. We've got a super chat that kind of suggests more to the drama and the intrigue and the suspense. Liam, another channel member, big up yourself. He says, could the club be holding back on releasing the away third kit until a marquee player gets signed with a certain 10? More intrigue, more drama for the Twitter timeline. But that's my opinion, guys, on the situation. I don't know if you want to, guys.
I was going to ask you a question, Grizz.
Yeah.
So if you knocked on my door and said, I really like your car and I didn't want to sell it to you, I would say it's not for sale. If I said to you, you can buy it, but it's 103 million quid, I'm open to the possibility of you coming to me with 103 million pounds.
Just to piggyback on that, if there's ever been a club to quickly reverse a public stance of not for sale, it's Dortmund. Think about Yeah.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Also, they got a really poor fee for one of the best centre forwards in world standing today. It was a dreadful fee. It was a really poor deal. They have spent more than they recovered for Erling Haaland already in transfer fees. Dortmund are not a cash-rich club. They're a club that exists by buying these players in at nominal fees and selling them on for big money. I get what you're saying, Grizz, and I understand where you're coming from. I know that I've read that Bellingham isn't going to push and make life difficult because he respects Dortmund completely.
He's also 19. Like, he's not in a rush. This is the thing as well. He's not in a rush. Doesn't have to be.
100%. But if someone comes and says you said 115 million euros, there's your 115 million euros. I think because they've come out and said there's a fee, there's a price, that there's a conversation to be had. And actually, if they want 115, give him 125. Because this is a guy you build your football club around. This is a guy that sits in the middle of your midfield for the next 10 seasons. And then you start having a conversation who plays with him going forward. That's how pivotal a signing this is for our football club. That's why I asked you the question. If you want to buy my car and I give you a price, if you match that price, I've already told you I'm prepared to have a discussion.
No, look, but this is the beauty of it. He's got me thinking. He's right.
Did you ever think about, it's like, sorry, Evan, it's like Pro Evolution Soccer, like the trade deal or Football Manager, and it never ever happens. But I always wonder, like, if you think about a midfielder who's bossed the Bundesliga, who could sweeten this deal, and it's not exact trade, but it just could be in the equation. Is Naby Keita was the one midfielder I would say that potentially could, not as a necessarily Bellingham replacement, but it could sweeten the deal a little bit, because to me, he I know there's injuries and stuff, but his availability has improved a lot in the last year. I probably a long shot, but I'm sitting here thinking, do you think there's a bit of that in more scenarios? Would that ever be considered? Because to me, he would actually a player who probably would suit Dortmund.
I don't know how often we see these kind of deals, guys.
But I don't think there's actually a deal there. Like, it's like Nico Williams going to Fulham. Do you know what I mean? There's obviously been a good relationship. Mane going to Bayern after Thiago thing. No doubt there's a reason there's a good relationship between those two teams. Not necessarily a trade, but a deal that's sweetened by two parties. But listen, that's just as we're sitting here thinking about it. It just came in my head there. It's probably never going to happen, but
it's good to dream. We all have dreams. It's good to think scenarios in your head. That's where, look, what's the beauty of these kind of chats, the real life chats that we're having, and we don't know the exact in and outs of it, but we're having different scenarios put forward to us from each one of us, and we're discussing the merits of it. Evan, sorry, if you want to end that scenario. No, I'm joking.
No, I'm not. It's not the end of the world for me if we wait. If we end up doing like a Keita-like thing where we have the agreement in place a year in advance, then he goes back and lives in Germany for a year before eventually coming in, that would be okay. I talked recently about the perks and perils of waiting for the perfect fit. We've seen both sides of the coin as Liverpool fans in the Klopp era, the perks of waiting and also the perils of waiting. So, also, Conroy, you're funny for calling it the Pro Evolution Soccer concept of American sports trading.
They used to have it before FIFA, because you couldn't do it in FIFA, and it used to be called like the trade a player the draft. Yeah,
I wish there was more trades in football. I think it just doesn't happen in this sport because the players just have more of a say in terms of which clubs they go to. Players can drag their feet and say, I'm not going there. But in American sports, you kind of just have to go. But yeah,
that worked out well for Kevin Durant, didn't it?
Yeah.
that
poor
worked
guy.
out well.
Poor guy. Listen, I'm not. Although my opinion that I've tried to disguise as the logical and smart thing to do, in reality, I just want a new signing now. It's not the end of the world if we have to wait. I am okay with waiting if it's a Keita-like thing of we structure the deal now, have everything officially done now, and then officially he goes back on. Yeah, unofficially, he goes back to Dortmund for a year. I would like to have it be official so that we can officially consider him a Liverpool player whilst he's on loan next year. I would be okay with that because it means we leave little to risk, or we leave nothing to risk in terms of getting him. But we'll have to see what happens. If, like I said, if there's ever a club that will soften a not for sale stance, it's Dortmund. Everybody has a price. Like Steve said, great piece of analysis. They got a horrible fee for a guy who should have been going for 120, 130 million pound. Yeah, absolutely. Erling Haaland's an incredible player. So yeah, I'm feeling confident. I'm a believer at this point. I will be heading on the positivity train. I'll be leader of that camp. So
amazing. I mean, look at that. Amazing. We've basically got a split down the middle. Me and Conroy thinking, I'm pretty certain that he ends up a Liverpool player. I'll go that far. Live on stream. I've been clipped up for far worse. But I think it's I'd hedge. Do you hedge bets or wedge bets, Steve? You're the hedge. Even though Paddy Power gave me a shout out.
Wedge a bet. That's brilliant.
I'd say next season. I think Conroy suggested you think it's going to happen next season, whereas Steve and Evan think it's this season.
I think if it happens this season, it's only because it's been triggered because someone else is.
Oh, okay.
I think they should do it this season. That's my case. Whether it happens this year or next year, I don't know. I think Liverpool should do it this season, though.
Do you not think because they're standing now, they can afford to operate like that? Like, we're not fourth chasers anymore, fourth place chasers. We're probably going to compete in the top 2, 3, maybe 4 teams who are actually going to win stuff. So you say about a PSG coming in, Evan. It's easy to say I am, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's this fascination. If you're getting 400 grand at PSG, or you're playing Liverpool, or even you put like a team like a Man City in that who are competing, I don't think it appeals to someone who's 19 years old and is going to make money. It's not his last move. I don't think it's like, oh, I'm going to get that now. I mean, look at Frankie de Jong. That he probably regrets now for, well, maybe not Barcelona, but 400k a week he's on. It's not necessarily, you've got time at that age. And I think with that, that's why Liverpool are calm. However, I do think if someone like a Man City goes in for him, people are saying Madrid. If you looked at Madrid midfield, they've got Camavinga, Tchouaméni, they've got Casemiro, who's still one of the best DMs in the world.
Valverde.
Are they going to splash 100 million on a midfielder who doesn't even start? I don't know. I don't think that will happen, to be honest. And then look at Modric, who says he can't go another year. Camavinga is literally one of the best young midfielders in the world as well. He was outstanding when he came on last year. So I'm not panicked. I just think if someone does put a realistic bid that's close to maybe being, there's agreement there, I think Liverpool go. However, I think Liverpool are quite calm now. I think Jude Bellingham wants to play for Liverpool. I think if he has to stay another year at Dortmund, he will. I don't think it's the end of the world. But I think, again, if someone comes close, we'll show our hand.
That's interesting, that, Conroy. Let me give you a sort of different view on that. If your phone rings and it's Jurgen Klopp on the end of the phone, arguably the best manager in the world, of arguably the best team in the world, and he says to you, come and be the linchpin in my midfield for the next 10 years. If you're 19, you're going to get really, really excited about that proposition.
If you're 20, you're going to get really excited as well, though, Steve.
But
just a year later.
I think they're pushing hard, mate. I think Liverpool are really pushing hard.
He's still owned, right? He's under contract. So if Dortmund say that doesn't fit, I don't think he's going to throw his toys out the pram either.
No, he's not.
And we don't want a player like that, to be honest. Well, that's maybe a bad point because there's probably been examples of that in the past. But I get what you're saying, Steve. But I do think it's like, if it happens, it'll happen. If it doesn't happen this window, I don't think it'll be like the end of the world. I think it only happens if someone really pushes the boat in Dortmund. Because bear in mind, Dortmund don't just have to accept, the player has to accept as well. So if he's set on Liverpool next season, then he's just going to refuse the deal. And yes, you can say money talks and all that, but you've got a team who's going to be, touch wood, competing for a long, long time. So I tend to agree with Grizz more that's what will probably happen. But
I guess we'll wait and see, eh?
There's 2 months. We're doing too much content for a Sunday night. There's 2 months to go. A lot can happen. I get what you're saying, Steve. I do. I think the managers now is probably, when you've got Klopp and Pep, who are just like the top 2 right now, fair play to Ancelotti, very good man, very top manager as well. But there is obviously that impact, which is slightly different. I get what you're saying, Steve. Maybe you're right. I just think if we have to wait a year, it's not the end of the world. That's all I'm saying.
I think what I really agree with Conroy is that we are very relaxed about it. And that's the best way to be, because it just shows you your clubs run so well. If your club is relaxed in a situation like this, in a scenario like this, where every man and his dog, every woman and his dog, her dog, is asking for a midfielder, yet you have one lined up pretty much, whether it's now, whether it's next season, you're still in there and you're calm about it. It just shows you you're very well run. Everything's under control. So unless you guys have got anything else to add, I think we've covered all bases in terms of we're good, we're okay. There's a player there who will eventually end up as a red, in my opinion, whether it's in the next 2 months or whether it's January or next summer. I think we'll just have to keep waiting and seeing, I guess. There's nothing else, is there, guys? If there is anything else, please speak now.
I understand the frustration. Right? I do get it. Grizz done a top show last night. If you've not seen it, check it out. The Colin show. Pro had Daps, and it was Manu Kaz. His name, he's brilliant as well. And you're talking about Ronaldo, but then you've seen City, who are also doing their business early. Cucurella. Davs made a really good point last time, similar to when I had Aguero. That's when they really utilised a left full-back bombing up the line. The signing of Cucurella adds to the Haaland signing. You've got Calvin Phillips. You can look at that either way. Probably both going to get it completed quite soon. And obviously Haaland. I understand it's frustrating. I do get it. I'd love to have Bellingham in this window, but realistically, I see where we're coming from. And we're maybe, this is our target. This is how much we're paying. We'll do it then. If someone triggers it, we go early. However, I would say that a lot can happen in the next 2 months. And it is like the way we're reacting, because we lost the Champions League final, because we lost the league by 1 point. But we did get 92 points. And we have improved the team. I'd say we've lost Mane, but we've brought a few pretty good players in that who I think will gel well. So I understand the frustration, but I think I can see both sides. And I think, as I say, we'll trigger it if someone else gets close to it. But right now, I'd say probably just this will be us the start of the season, most likely.
Very quickly, we're going to go around and answer this question because King Say is a brilliant call-in member. He's a regular caller-in. Is that how you say it? Caller-in? I was going to say call-inner. That wouldn't have made sense, right?
Either or,
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No, you can't say call-inner. He's not a regular call-inner.
Caller in, then we'll go with that, yeah.
We'll go with that one. Just very quickly, he says, big up Grizz in the panel. Who will be the player that will surprise everyone next season for Liverpool? Ivan.
Luis Diaz has at least 3 or 4 more gears in him as a Liverpool player.
Steve.
Jude Bellingham. No, joking. Right. I'm going to say Nunez, mate, because I think this boy's going to surprise a few people. He tormented Virgil van Dijk at Anfield, mate, and Van Dijk has said so. And this is the guy that we've all rightly so got on a pedestal of being so much better than everybody else. His movement and his directness is sensational. So, yeah, that's the guy for me.
Con?
I can't believe he said Diaz. I can't believe that. I've been saying for weeks it's not a surprise. Everyone keeps forgetting this guy's not had a pre-season under us. And he's going to be explosive, but Evan stole my thunder there. So I think Diaz will do that. People seem to keep forgetting that. Give him a pre-season, his finishing, I think, will improve. I think his movement to suit our system, which has been good, I think will improve. I think he's a Champions League performance. You'll learn a lot from that because Carvalho really done him. And Grizz, I know you love Carvalho, but really taught him a lesson that game. He had to use his intelligence a bit more in certain situations. I think that'll be great for his learning curve. So I think he's going to take all that pain and that experience as well as his good positives and use that in the pre-season. And I think he'll be ridiculous, to be honest.
I'm going to go for Diogo Jota. I think he's been slept on. I think people have forgotten the start he made at Anfield. I think people are underestimating how difficult it is to play in the attack, which is constantly rotating in different types of players as well. Linking up play. Yes, he fell off a little bit in terms of his own personal form, but obviously we saw Mo Salah struggle, We even saw Luis Diaz struggle really after the amazing start he had. He wasn't the same, but obviously that was for fatigue purposes. I just think Diego Jota, nice, refreshed Diego Jota is going to have a point to prove. All this talk about Darwin Núñez and Mane and Salah new contract and Carvalho, and no one's talking about Diogo Jota.
Golden boot right now. Golden boot.
No, I think that's pretty much nailed on for Salah. I don't think I'll be a brave man to say it's not going to be Salah, but I'm going for Diogo Jota as a surprise because it pretty much might be a surprise. No one's talking about Diogo Jota.
Good point.
But yeah, guys, thank you very much for all your participation, opinions, facts in some cases, scenarios in some cases. Loved it. Brilliant chat. Sunday night, Redfellas was in the buildings. There's still over 560 of you guys. Hopefully there should be about 500 likes. There isn't.
Smash the likes,
really.
Get them smashed.
There isn't. I'm very surprised that we haven't got like a 90% ratio of likes.
Grizz has been working overtime this weekend. Done a Friday, Saturday and Sunday shift. Come on. Smash the
Do it on your way out. Do it on your way out.
Yeah, just doing your way out. Like
clock out.
Yeah,
smash it on your way out.
But what I'm trying to say is they're obviously stayed because they've enjoyed it, right? Otherwise, if you think, oh, fuck off, they're chatting shit here, and you log off, right? So you stay on because you think, okay, I'm enjoying this, and then you still don't like it. Like, well, what's the thinking behind that?
And if you haven't liked it because you're watching from the Twitter link and you're not signed into your YouTube account or you don't have one, sign in or make one so that you can enhance your YouTube experience with us because we love having you.
I love that technical point that Evan always comes in with.
No, he is right because I'm not signed in. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, this is what we like. We love you too, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Amazing. Thank you very much. We will be back. What day are we on? We are on Sunday. Tomorrow I'll have the Grizz Daily. Hopefully there's so much more news to come in the next few weeks and months. Oh, no, definitely. My God, tomorrow's pre-season, guys. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I'm so excited.
Is that Finn Lizzy? Boys are back in town. Good tune. That is Finn Lizzy, isn't it? Boys are back in town.
Don't sing it. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to sing.
Don't spoil it. It's been a great show. Don't spoil it. Anyway, guys, we out of here. This has been the Redfellas. Take care. See you all.